I am now presenting to you the Brent Spiner page at my website. And this page basically is proof that Brent Spiner has been in love with me since 1990. And I have a lot of evidence on this page, like from his music albums, showing that the songs that he picked, how he sang them, show that I am the woman in his life, that I've been his love interest since about 1990. And I actually have links on this page that go to other pages that are statements that I made about my relationship with my long distance relationship with Brent Spiner in the 1990s. And I created this page just for that reason, to prove that Laurie McBride is an intruder who Brent never wanted, and that she's not his type. And like if you listen to the music and Old Yellow Eyes is back, and I have links to that on this page, you can see that she is not his type. Also, as I mentioned in my first video in this 13-part series, um, you can, I have created a web page that shows you where GABRIELLECHANA.com pages are at GABRIELLECHANA.blog. This is the Brent Spiner's album page, or the Brent Spiner's True Love page that was at GABRIELLECHANA.com. And it is now 2 pages at GABRIELLECHANA.blog. And so on this page, I have the history of me and Brent, and I have stuff that could be admitted in a court of law here to prove that I am the woman in the real Brent Spiner's life. Also, when you go through this page, you can see that the personality of the real Brent is in stark contrast to the Brent Spiner clone, who's vulgar, proud, egotistical, and obsessed with his fame, and who Brent Spiner did not even want to go to Star Trek conventions in the beginning of the 1990s. And at this page, I show what the true heart of Brent Spiner is. And I also have clips from his music album Dreamland and from Old Yellow Eyes is Back that show that I am the woman. Like in Dreamland, he wakes up with a strange woman by his side and he goes, "Where did you come from?" And that the storyline in Dreamland parallels the true story of me and Brent and Laurie McBride. Laurie McBride is the strange woman that he woke up in bed with in Dreamland. It's like, "Where did you come from?" And then I am the Maud Maggart character, the woman that he loves. And you can see parallels between the storyline in Dreamland and the relationship between Brent and I. And I really highlight that during this page, in this page. Another thing in this page that that you need to pay attention to is that I am the great niece of Howard Hughes, aviator Howard Hughes, the famous billionaire. Both Howard Hughes and I, both of us had have King David genes. So you might call it a fluke, but I am literally the reincarnation of King David. I am literally 50% King David. And because of this, the Jesuits have found me a threat. They do genetic profiling on every baby that is born. And they determined at my birth that I was a threat to them. And so they actually tried to kill me as a newborn baby. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because they have kept this top secret from the world. And they did not want Russia to know that I had the genes of Catherine. I also have the genes of Catherine the Great. I personally look at it this way. Jesus just arranged for me to have these genes. I think he played around with the genes in my parents. And maybe while I was a baby in conception, he arranged. I'm part of his grand plan. I think Jesus arranged for me to have these genes because he knew he would use me to defeat the Jesuit order. It hasn't happened yet, but Jesus promised. Well, Satan is behind the Jesuit order, and when you go through my website, you'll see that more and more. They even admit it at their own website, which was orderofthejesuits.com, which has been taken down, and crazygail.com, which has been taken down, that Satan is their true leader. And they just pose, the Jesuits are never what they appear to be. They appear to be like a peace-loving humanitarian organization as part of the Catholic Church. They are nothing but a peace-loving, except I will say that now that Zach Knight has come to our side, things have changed. They are more humanitarian, but that was never their original intent. And so I'm exposing them here at my website, and that's why they hate my website. From what I understand, the Homestead site was totally messed up. In other words, people couldn't really see it. They weren't. And Lori was using brain control on people so that when they were looking at my Homestead site, they were seeing what was other than what was there. I have movies and television productions at this site that you can see that will prove why they're so obsessed with me and prove that I really am the great niece of Howard Hughes. Did you know that Howard Hughes had a genetic brother named Robert Chord, who was my paternal grandfather? And he apparently knew about it because he made the movie The Carpetbaggers. And the lead character, Jonas Chord, was patterned after Howard Hughes. I have that movie here at this webpage. Laurie McBride and the Jesuits have kept this movie from the mainstream media. And now that I've figured out that Jonas Chord was Howard Hughes' way of honoring his genetic brother, the Jesuits are making sure to keep this. You can't find this movie anywhere, man. It's terrible. You can't find it, but I've got it at my website. In fact, I have all sorts of movies at my website that the Jesuits don't want you to see. I have another movie here called that I sponsor, or if I don't have it embedded at my website, I will have links to it. But what I do is I put the movie there and then I make comments about how the movie shows that what I'm saying about the Jesuits and their obsession with me and Brent Spiner is true. So also, what's interesting, my father is he was an airline pilot. Talk about genes saying something about, my father was a retired Eastern Airlines captain. And Howard Hughes was a pilot. So you can see genes do influence who you become, which explains why the Jesuits were so obsessed with me, because they even admit it. They gave me an allergy to my baby formula and I almost died. And they tried to kill me at birth because they found my genes threatening. When they didn't succeed in doing that because my mother switched pediatricians and saved my life, then their next goal was to start a Cold War between Russia and the United States. Okay, but I will say this Brent Spiner page, my website pages are designed so that each page has a special focus. Like my opening page, GABRIELLECHANA.com, which is now at GABRIELLECHANA.blog, was just a broad overview of my life and the men in my life. This particular page, the focus is mostly on Brent Spiner and me in the 1990s. And also, the focus is on Star Trek The Next Generation episodes that show that Brent and I had a relationship in the 1990s, like the drumhead. I have that here. You can watch it here on this page. The drumhead, a Star Trek The Next Generation episode was made because I was writing. I even have the letter that I wrote him where I asked him to expose the child abuse industry. And I said, the state has got too much control over the family, and I want you to, expose them, please, Brent. And he did. He tried. He started. In 1990, when I wrote him those letters, I noticed that Dan Rathers went on 60 Minutes. Well, Dan Rathers has gone to the dogs now, but back then he was okay. And he started exposing the child abuse industry, how the state was interfering with the family and harassing innocent families over their children and trying to take their kids from them and put them in state custody when just because they weren't following, they didn't, because maybe the state didn't like them. It had nothing to do with whether they were good or bad parents. Actually, it's kind of like deja vu. You can see in history repeat itself because Laurie McBride is doing the same thing right now. She's trying to get control over everybody. It's the only way she can stay in power because she's evil. And if people have their own free will, they don't want this evil woman ruling over them. So the only way she can stay in power and rule over everybody is she has to control people and brainwash people, and she has to put out lies about her enemies like she's doing. And so this page is exposing the evil Jesuits' dirty butts. First of all, it's showing that I indeed am the great niece of Howard Hughes, and that the Jesuits have succeeded, and basically I didn't really stand a chance except for Jesus, because from the day I was born, I was targeted. They even instituted the Cold War between Russia and the United States because of me. You're saying, oh, I don't believe you're that important. Yeah, well, the Jesuits have been spending billions of dollars to discredit me from the day I was born. It's a miracle that I've come back as well as I have. And this page at my website, Laurie McBride does not want people to see my website. My website is probably the most truthful, accurate history of the past 20 years that you'll get anywhere online, with the exception of the Gabrielle Fox News Channel. I even outdo Alex Jones. Alex Jones cannot expose the cloning technology to the extent that I can because he'd get locked up in a psych ward. So what you're seeing at this page are all the movies, all the productions, all the proof that everything that I'm saying about Laurie McBride and the Jesuits is true, and that I am not crazy. Besides, if I really truly am crazy, why have the Jesuits gone to the trouble to make so many websites out there to discredit me? Like they've got all these crazy websites that they've created. I mean, if I'm such a nobody, if I'm really crazy, they wouldn't have to make websites to expose me as crazy. But they're saying, oh, the people are just doing it because they like to. You know, a lot of these websites are Jesuit websites. The Jesuits are posing as trolls. Well, actually, they are trolls. But my men are not trolls, but the Jesuits are. And they're creating these websites using their control over mass media to try to convince the world that I'm crazy, and that that's my AC. I don't know if you can hear that. It's a little bit noisy. I don't know if Laurie McBride using brain control or not, but she's making that air conditioner noisy again. Anyways, so this page is, the focus is on Brent Spiner and I in the 1990s, and on the movie and television productions that prove that the Jesuits have targeted me and Brent. They don't want me to become famous or respectable because of my genetic profile, and because they knew that somebody with the genes of King David and Catherine the Great would never support them. So they actually have tried to kill me, but Jesus has protected me because I'm part of his grand plan to defeat the Jesuit order. And I believe that once that happens, that once the Jesuit order is defeated, that we're going to have peace on this earth. That's going to be, I actually think we're on the verge of victory right now. And the Jesuits are as nervous as hell. The bad Jesuits. And we're on the verge of victory. And they say it always gets darkest right before the dawn. So I think the dawn is right around the corner. So me and my men, we just got to stick it out. Just keep plugging away. Keep telling the truth. I need to get my story out there. That's why I've created my website. She was blocking my website from people viewing it. That's why I made another one. And at Homestead, they encrypted my site, so Vladimir Putin couldn't transfer it to his own server. But now the truth is out. So check out this page and check out the link underneath this page.